guys, I am here to talk with you about an ARC review today, and this ARC, let me tell you, it made me laugh out loud multiple times. Sometimes I feel like, okay, listen, romance novels, they can be a little bit like heavy on the innuendo, or like, I don't know, sometimes the jokes aren't really funny, they're just like, haha, that was cute, like, or a funny turn of phrase. This book multiple times made me laugh so hard that my fiance came out of our office where I'm currently filming and into our living room where I was on the couch reading, and he was like, what in the world is so funny? And then I told him the jokes and he didn't find them as funny. He just thought they were silly. Listen, he can be wrong. This book is hilarious. The book in question that we're talking about is Codename Charming by Lucy Parker. This is the second book in a series that Lucy is calling the Palace Insider series. I did review the first book in the Palace Insider series. That was called Battle Royal. So if you want to hear about the first book in this series and what happened there, go watch that review. I'll put it up there, because this is the second book in a series, there will be spoilers for that book. I don't think that you have to read Battle Royal before you read Codename Charming, but it will definitely make a lot more sense since the events of Codename Charming are building off of what happened, particularly at the end of Battle Royal. So again, we're gonna spoil that ending big time. If you are okay with that, you can stay. Otherwise, go watch that other review. Just want to say briefly thank you to Edelweiss and the publisher for giving me this ARC. This review is just, again, because I have so many of these that I'm still juggling, a little bit late. This book is actually out, but I did read an ARC, not the finished version. If you're a little bit like, what happened in Battle Royal because you read it a while ago when it came out, that is a Great British Baking Show episode meets enemies to lovers. There is our female love interest who bakes all of these cakes with sparkles and unicorns, and she owns a shop that is sugar and sweet and sparkles everywhere. And then our male love interest is basically like a Paul Hollywood, very severe and stern, and he also runs a cake shop that has been in his family for generations, and it's very focused on like minimal, elegant cakes. And so they are like water and oil. They do not get along together, but they are forced to on a reality baking show, and of course they fall in love along the way. The royal connection to this book is that they end up in competition basically to make the wedding cake for a British princess. Her name is Rosie. And her commoner boyfriend husband, who's like this like nerdy, quiet type, whose name is Johnny, and he is not built at all to be a prince of the realm or a duke of the realm or whatever title he gets after he marries her in this alternate British history. But he loves Rosie so much that they try to make a go of it. However, he does come with a stalker who is not revealed to kind of be a bunch of monkey wrenches that have been happening throughout the rest of the book until the end, when this woman tries to kill Johnny and Rosie at their wedding. And the male love interest of Battle Royal, his younger sister Pet, saves the day by like jumping and tackling this woman. She is injured briefly in the process in the arm. There's a knife injury. But as a thank you, Rosie and Johnny offer her Pet a job. Her full name is Petunia, but she goes by Pet, in case you're wondering where that's coming from. They offer her a job as Johnny's personal assistant. This is all very important because Petunia is our female love interest for Codename Charming, and her love interest for this book is a gentleman by the name of Matthias. He is Johnny's bodyguard. He has been through some stuff, and there's a lot made in the book that he is much larger than your average man. He has a face that no one would consider conventionally attractive. He is very tall. He is very broad. Basically kind of looks like your stereotypical image of a bodyguard from like a James Bond villain situation. And Pet is, very small and petite. There's baking in her family. But of course, if you've read Battle Royal, you know that Pet's sunny demeanor hides a traumatic family past, and Matthias's silence does the same for him. So they are more well matched than they appear. They just don't know it yet. So Codename Charming is actually a fake dating story, because what happens is, because Johnny keeps getting himself into awkward situations, the press for some reason think that he and Petunia are dating. And so Rosie and Johnny are like, hey, can Pet and Matthias pretend to date for a while to like get the British tabloid press off of our back? And they very, very grudgingly accept. And like I said, they're about to find out that they have more in common than they think. I don't think that this book had as many extra layers to it as Battle Royal did. It's much more focused on the relationship between Pet and Matthias. And I actually really liked that, because as I said, both of them have traumatic things that have happened in their past, death, family abandonment, grief, that they continue to struggle with in their own way in the present. And they both are helping each other take steps to move forward on those individual journeys. And if you know anything about what I value in my romance novels, it is when each character is their own individual person, and the book doesn't define them by their relationship with the other, and instead allows them to grow as individual human beings while they also fall in love. And this book definitely did that. And oh man, that is always just like a double thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed that. Like I said, it was also super hilarious. There were multiple points where there were some sassy comments made or some funny comments made, and for whatever reason, I just wasn't expecting them in some situations, and they just sometimes startled a laugh out of me. There was one scene, and I was trying so hard to explain it to my fiance, that felt like a very stereotypical like romance scene where there's like this big like heart to heart happening with a couple of the characters, and someone's having a major realization, and then she says something that is like very stereotypical romance, and then another character cuts in with like a hilarious comment. And I think I was just so ready for some of these scenes to follow an expected romance stereotype path, and these just great one-liners just got put in there, and I was like, oh, that was amazing. It didn't feel injected like in a way that felt weird or not natural. They were just really funny, and I enjoyed that so much. I also felt that as a couple, Pet and Matthias worked really well together. They're both people who notice the small things, which is something that I find personally just very attractive. And the things that they notice about each other, and as they're coming to realize how deep their feelings have really been for a while, was just very wonderful. I also really appreciated how like so many other characters in this book have also known for a while, and so it's one of those things where they're both having like these revelations for themselves, and every other character is like, yeah, this was really obvious. And they're all shipping Pet and Matthias so hard. It's really, really lovely. And they do have some meddlers in there as well. It's just a very sweet, huge found family situation as well, where everyone just wants lovely things for everyone else. And oh, just so cute. If I was going to say anything that was like vaguely about this book, which is hard to do, but I'm gonna try to see past the sugar haze and the cuteness and give you guys some actual like reviewy things, I will say that while I found the first book to be exaggerated but believable, like some of the cake creations or the fiascos seemed a little bit like, I don't really know how that's like physically possible. Johnny's amount of ineptitude at his job, the different situations that he gets into, I actually found the opening scene really jarring because it felt so over exaggerated, like something that could like never happen in real life. And I had this moment of like, is this book really going to be realistic? Because it just felt like a really weird over-exaggerated, hyperbolic way to open the novel. And I do not like romance novels that take the weird, funny, silly in a romance novel and ratchet it up to 11. I want something in my romance novels that is believable, even if it is a little bit silly. I did just have this happen to me with Allie Carter's new book, which I also reviewed, and you can go and check that out, where I felt like the dialogue was just too much for me. And so I felt like, oh no, don't do this to me again. So this is me just saying, don't let that opening gamut put you off. It does settle into itself. Johnny is still, I mean, if he existed with today's royal family, this man would not make it. But in terms of the romance novel, I think that's a sweet subplot that's been in both of the books, is that Rosie is trying really, really hard to be a proper member of the royal family, but the thing that she's allowed for herself is to fall in love with a sweet, quiet nerd who is very out of his depth, but trying so hard to be there for the woman that he loves. And they are an absolutely wonderful subplot in both books in these series. And in a way, I'm kind of sad that they're already together, because I would absolutely read that prequel story. Again, it's really hard to review a book that you just kind of enjoyed. I tried, but I don't think I'll belabor the point very much. I think this series is super sweet and super cute and very funny. I loved it so much, and if there is going to be a third book, I will absolutely review that for you guys, because this just gave me joy, and I want to pass that joy along to you if you are interested as well. Like I said, this book is already out, so you can go get it from your local bookstore, your local library, however it is that you read. You can start with the first book if you haven't already done that, and fill up a couple of nights of reading with both books. I have one more arc in my wild, outrageous arc TBR in a row. I think I'm gonna make it, guys. I think we're gonna do it. So I will see you next week for that. Thanks, guys. Bye.